complete without hearing from Conway's wife, Dee Henry Jenkins. Now, Dee and Conway were married for 6.5 years, worked together for 17 years. She was totally involved in his life and his career.
But you know, and I know you know this, one thing she didn't do all those years was interviews. She preferred to stay in the background and work quietly and happily for the man she loved.
Well, tonight we have the first in-depth interview that Dee has ever done about her life with Conway. And as you'll see, this has been a very tough year for Dee, as it would be for anyone who's lost a spouse. But there have been some special people who have really helped pull her through, and one of them is too little yet to understand just what a blessing he's been.
It's the sun and it's dry before the rain. It's the spider comes up the spout. Again, yay!
The godsend in Dee's life this past year has been her godson, Nicholas. They spend several days a week together at her house, entertaining each other.
You blow. You do it. Good boy.
Moments like these are even more precious to Dee now. On June 5th of last year, she learned in the most tragic way that life is fragile. She and Conway had spent 3 years building their Nashville home, but lived in it only 9 months before his death. Near the pool, surrounded by the flowers that Conway personally selected and loved so much, Dee sat down to her first interview since her husband's passing. Fans ask me repeatedly, how is she? How is Dee doing?
I don't know. It's not even from day to day anymore. You know, it's just hour to hour.
Even after a year.
That's no time. I can't believe it's a year. Sitting here today, I can't believe it's almost a year. You know, I thought if something ever happened to Conway, and the thought went through my mind a lot right after I lost my mom. But I could never do this. I couldn't survive one day. And then one day went by, and then a week, and then a month, and now almost a year. I can't say I've survived it. I'm just getting through it. Everybody tells me after a year it's going to be better. You know, I still, every day when I get up, I think about where I was this time last year. What we were doing. If I can't remember, I look at my book, and you can't help but replay that. I have a good doctor, I have a good grief counselor, my family, my friends, and my faith, and I just keep I just feel sometimes like I'm holding on by my nails, so. And you know, Conway was my whole life. I mean, he was my friend, my husband, my lover, my co-worker, my employer. We worked all the time, and we worked together. To not have that, too, I mean, everything was stripped from me.
Do you feel comforted that you were able to say goodbye?
Lorianne, I never expected him not to come out of it. So I just really didn't say goodbye. I really thought he was going to be okay. Never, ever occurred to me he wouldn't. Not through the whole night. But I have no regrets. I told him I loved him. And he said to me what he always said to me every night, you know, and so maybe we did say goodbye. It just never expected this to happen like this.
Is it possible, and maybe this is rude, is it possible to even express your feeling when you were told that he did not make it?
I didn't believe it, you know. I know that's shock now. See, things didn't go smoothly during the surgery. The chaplain came and told me that things weren't going well.
A lot of bleeding. Is that right?
A lot of bleeding. His heart had stopped on the table several times. But I still, you know, here was this hero. Here was my hero. Here was this bigger-than-life person. I just knew he was going to be okay. There was never a doubt. So I refused to believe them when they told me that. I just said, you don't know Conway. He'll be okay. You just don't know my husband. So I just couldn't believe it. I still have trouble believing it. I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and I can't believe he's not here. In the morning, you know, things happen, you want to tell him, you know, so I do. I write him letters, and that's been a real source of comfort for me. I keep a journal of letters that I've written him and tell him how I feel about things and what's happening, and so that I can share them with him, because I believe he knows that now.
You've been to a lot of the tributes that have happened. Was that difficult for you to go and watch the tributes, or was it therapeutic, or both?
Oh, I think it's both. You know, I'm reading a book right now. It talks about grief and grieving, and it compares grief to a burn, a really bad burn. And, you know, if you've ever been burned really bad, you scrub it and scrub it and scrub it. And when it scabs over, you keep scrubbing it to keep the infection out. And with grieving, I have found that you have to confront things head on. You have to sit down and look at pictures, and you have to sit down and look at video, and you have to face these things. No way am I saying it's easy.
It's like torture.
It is. But so is a burn victim who has to have his skin scrubbed day after day after day.
Are you frightened every day?
Sure. You know, you're talking to a woman who hadn't been away from her husband more than an hour at a time. In 6.5 years, we never spent a night apart. I didn't go to the grocery store. I hadn't driven 10 times in the last 7 years until this happened. So I have had to learn to do everything. I'm telling you that if I had to go to the mall to buy some makeup, Conway parked himself on one of those stools around the makeup counter and sat there and waited patiently, signing autographs, talking to whatever. I mean, this is a man, we did everything together, everything.
This is the perfect husband who would go to the mall with you.
He was the perfect husband. Oh, yeah. He was the perfect friend. He was everything. I had a little spell. I had to go to the hospital one night. And here's the man who spent the night with me in the hospital. Even though the doctor said there's nothing wrong, we just need to do a test in the morning. He got in my bed with me and went to sleep. Oh, until I went to sleep, he stayed there with me. I mean, just knowing, because we had never spent any time apart. It's been really difficult. I feel like my arms have been cut off, my legs have been cut off. I feel like a total amputee in my sight, my speed. Everything's just gone from me. I just hoping I can grow it all back, I guess.
Have you been told that you will be able to do that?
Yes, I've been told that.
Do you believe it?
I don't know. I'll never be the person I was. There's always going to be this giant hole. I don't know how I could be. He was such a part of me.
When you have a bad day, and I'm sure those happen, and will continue to happen, what are the happy memories that you hang on to that make you feel better?
What are the happy memories? God, there's so many. I mean, I don't have any bad memories. I am so fortunate. I have no regrets. You know, we didn't fight. We didn't waste time quarreling, spending time apart, you know, the way people do, and then later say, oh, God, I wish I hadn't said this, or, oh, God, I wish I hadn't done that, or, you know, I don't have any bad ones, but I just have memories of Conway, you know, just even enjoying himself in the Kroger. I mean, he loved to go grocery shopping. I hated it. It was a chore because he'd walk through the aisles picking up things he knew we couldn't eat, you know, and just say, oh, doesn't this look good? He'd buy a jar of peanut butter and bring it home and open it and smell it and say, gosh, doesn't this, and then put the lid back on it and it would sit on the pantry shelf because, you know, we were watching our diet and trying to be healthy. Every night I gave him a facial, and that was something he was proud of and told people about. And I mean, we just really, truly loved doing for each other. If there was something I could do to make him happy. You know, here's a man who bought me 7 cards at Christmas time, year before last, and hid them one a night, and I'd open the drawer to take my makeup off, and there'd be a card.
It seems to me that you have more to miss than most people because of the totally beautiful relationship.
I appreciate you saying that. Conway always said we were soulmates. He said we were soulmates from way back, and I guess that's what it was. We had tremendous respect for each other, and I put him first, and he put me first. I couldn't do enough for him, and he could never do enough for me. Dr. Van Devender told me, he said that we had a unique relationship, but the pain that I'm feeling is the price I'm going to pay for that relationship. And I think that's true, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Is it your belief that he's with you?
Yeah, it is my belief he's with me. He promised me that, and he wouldn't break a promise.
We'll continue with Dee Henry Jenkins in just a moment.